Coming to you live from Studio One at Broadcast Forum in New Rochelle, New York. This is the voice of Westchester, 1460 WVOX.
WVOX.
Now live from Whitney Media, 1460 WVOX, the Greenburgh Report with Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner. You can join in the conversation at 914-636-0110. Now on 1460 WVOX, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor. Thank you, WVOX Radio, for providing me with this weekly forum. If you're out of work and you want to do something interesting, or if you have a job and want another challenge, why not consider starting a new business? And today our topic will be what action steps people should take if they are considering starting their own business. My guests today are Carol Angert, who's business librarian for the Greenburgh Library. We also have with us two other guests, Nina Mattikow and Robert Kotch, and they're with North Salem Partners. So welcome. Carol, let me ask you if you could just tell us a little bit about this forum that's going to be held at the Greenburgh Library on April 27th.
Sure, Paul, and thank you for having us on the show. The program, What Makes a Business Idea Become a Success? Listen and learn from 4 entrepreneurs who made it happen. And this idea came about through contact that I had with Nina and Bob a year or two ago. We met at the GROW conference, and we both had the same purpose in mind in terms of doing a program that could educate and provide information to entrepreneurs about the steps that they do need to take and what they need to know to start a business. So we did do a program together in October of 2015, Hatching Your Great Idea and Turning an Idea into a Business. And from there we said, there looks like, judging from the response of the audience, a real need to go more into detail on the steps that people do have to take and what they need to know to start a business. So that's how it came about.
Now the program is at the Greenburgh Library, April 27th from 9 to 10:30 in the morning. And is there a cost involved to attend this seminar?
There's never a cost to attend a program at the library, ever.
It says also there's free breakfast involved.
That's right.
So
we will provide breakfast.
That is great. Who are some of the speakers at this event?
We've got 4 really outstanding panelists. Andrea Bloom, who is the studio manager and COO of Alchemy. Carol Arucci, who runs Cortland School of Performing Arts. Michael Niovelli, Delectable Deli, and he'll also be working with us to provide the food in the morning. It will be delectable. And Nick Samard of Inspira Media. And these are 4 small businesses, people who have really put their heart and soul into making their business successful. They have a lot to teach, Paul.
Is it hard to start your own business?
As Bob and I are both entrepreneurs, and the path to starting a new business does not run smoothly. And part of the best, or would I say the best part of this seminar, is you'll have the opportunity to hear how businesses navigated the path.
What percent of businesses that start actually succeed?
I think it depends on your definition of success. Some widely available statistics suggest that maybe 30% return the investment wholly and some income to the owner, and a much smaller amount, maybe 10 or 15%, really hit it big. It's about work, and it's about kind of ignoring the cliche. Everything you hear is, you got to have a business plan. Well, you first got to understand the market, your product, why your product is advantageous. If you do that homework up front, and Nina's a master at that, if If you do that homework up front, you increase the probability of success markedly.
And it really is all about homework. If people come in to see Bob and I, and they come with a business plan, and we start to ask questions, there's been no homework done.
Right, we have to take a break, and we'll be right back in a couple minutes. My guests are Carol Angert, and we also have Nina Mattikow and Robert Kotch of North Salem Partners, and they're talking about a forum they're having at the Greenburgh Library April 27th from 9 to 10:30 a.m. It's a breakfast meeting and forum on how you could succeed in starting your own new business. So we'll be right back right after this break. I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor.
Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Good morning. I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor. My guests are Carol Angert, who's a business librarian at the Greenburgh Public Library. We also have with us Nina Mattikow and Robert Kotch of North Salem Partners. I guess North Salem Partners is located in North Salem?
Well, it's sort of split between Greenwich and North Salem.
Great, and you focus on helping people with starting businesses.
Really helping startups step on the gas.
That is, what gave you this idea?
I'm sorry?
What gave you the idea of starting this business?
Well, we have both been entrepreneurs, started businesses, and we began both being consultants, being asked. We were also working at SCORE as mentors, which is where we met. But there were many people past who comes to SCORE who already were in business and were at that stage where they were just level, they were looking for revenue, they were looking to step on the gas.
Now, I guess if I was starting a business, and we have, Carol here, a librarian, people are now interested in, the internet. So I guess if I said I want to start a small bookstore, you'd say I'm crazy, right?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Not at all. And the interesting...
Even though everybody's using the iPhone instead of books, why are you saying not at all?
Because bookstore growth, independent bookstores have experienced 3 to 4% growth this year, first time.
How come?
I think that the bookstore has now become really more of a community center than just a pure bookstore. Events are being held, and Carol at Greenburgh Library is like so proactive about helping small business. And it's a very important thing. Greenburgh as a town is very welcoming. And personally, I believe that this is such a great atmosphere for new business and entrepreneurs.
Carol, you've been a librarian at the Greenburgh Library, and I've worked with you for a number of years. You organized a lot of job help seminars.
Right.
I thought the library was just a place to get books.
Right.
Why are you spending your time helping people get jobs or start businesses?
Well, I think it all comes back to what the library is. The library is about information and education. And in the business community, there's a need for information and education, especially for people who are looking to start their own businesses. Where do they go for information about their competition? Where do they go to learn about social media? Where do they go to learn about different types of technology? They can learn it in books. They can learn it online. But the thing is, the library is a resource to help them find these things. And by doing these programs, we've also been able to emphasize what the resources are that are available in the library, and also inform people what the resources are that are available in the community as well.
So if somebody is out of work and they're very dejected because they've been out of work for a while, they spend their time at the Greenburgh Library and take advantage of the programs and services, and improve themselves, there's hope and light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, I mean, I think some of the programs that we've done, and with your collaboration, Paul, along with Lenore Rosenbaum from WJCS, were a series of programs, new job opportunities in Westchester. And we brought in industry leaders. We had who talked about the opportunities in finance, healthcare, the hospitality industry, but what skills do you need? And these were the people who could really tell the community, okay, here's what types of skills you need, here's how you have to revise your skills or realign them, transform yourself. Plus, you know, we provided information about marketing, communication, social media. We had executive recruiters, career development specialists, and business coaches. And plus, it's all tied in with what the library has for their resources. I mean, as Bob will tell you, in most of the programs, every speaker says, well, you have to use the library. The library has resources.
Mm-hmm.
I had another question. You know, I'm the supervisor of the town of Greenburgh, and I remember a number of years ago, East Hartsdale Avenue was almost half empty, and now it's all full. I was going to take the credit for it, but it became full because there's a lot of restaurants, and people seem to like the restaurants, you know, over there. How important is location in terms of starting a new business? And let's say somebody found really inexpensive rent at a place where there's no parking, yeah, I mean, could they make a success out of anything?
It depends, Paul, on what kind of business it is. I mean, if it's a restaurant, clearly parking matters, location matters. If it's a consulting business like Nina's and mine, it doesn't matter at all because we go to our client's site. So it really depends on the business, on the entrepreneur's dream and what he or she wants to accomplish. And then you work backwards and say, okay, given that, what do you need in terms of facilities? Maybe it's none. Maybe it's something very lavish. Maybe it's an offbeat place. Don't know.
Do you recommend that people, when they're meeting with landlords, check and see how long, you know, the place has been vacant, and do sort of a history of other businesses at that location?
I think that's very important as part of the homework, because locations, there are some locations which see business after business after business. There are some locations that are crossroads, but that's only if you were doing a restaurant, a retail operation. More and more today, location is not important.
You could work out of your house.
Work out of your
Absolutely.
house. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I could do like 90% of my work at home, and nobody would really know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm more effective at home because nobody's distracting me.
Right.
So, you know, that's interesting. What are some of the? You mentioned that. I can't believe we have another break. This is so aggravating. So interesting. I have like a million questions, but we'll be back in just a couple minutes. And this is so interesting. What's the website of your company?
It's NorthSalemPartners.com.
NorthSalemPartners.com. And the event is at the Greenburgh Library, April 27th, 9 to 10:30 a.m. Free breakfast workshop for startups and new businesses. And this is an exciting program offering people a rare opportunity to learn about action steps that you need to take if you're interested in starting a new business. So I'm Paul Feiner, and we'll be right back right after this brief.
Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Good morning. I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor. This is definitely one of the most interesting, programs that I've been part of. My guest is Nina Mattikow and Bob Kotch of North Salem Partners, and they're helping people start up new businesses. And Carol Angert, who is the business librarian at the Greenburgh Library, has also been busy over the years helping people improve their quality of life by either getting jobs through job forums that she's organized, and also helping people explore other options, starting up their own businesses. Are new business startups for everybody? If somebody's out of work for a long time, is this something that everybody should do?
Well, it's something that they should consider. It means hard work, it means commitment, it means 70-hour weeks. Don't expect this is going to be a sideline. It's not going to be easy. There's no use kidding people, but it starts with a dream. It all starts with what would really fulfill you in your life. And look at that, look at your skills, and sort of ask the question with some good guidance, is this for me? Am I really unique enough to sell what I'm good at? And am I willing to work really hard to make it happen? If the answer is yes, go.
How much of an investment do people have to usually make to start a business?
It varies to the business, but the very first part, after what Bob spoke about, is finding out if there really is a place for the business. And then what has to be spent is varying.
You know, East Hartsdale Avenue has like tons of restaurants, and some of them have been successful. If there's 4 restaurants on a street and there's a vacant store front, would you say go for it, start another restaurant, or is there oversaturation? Could that be a problem?
Saturation is not a small issue. You'd have to think clearly about that.
Yeah, sometimes I see 2 pizza stores on the same street.
Side by side.
Is that a mistake for people?
The question comes down to differentiation. If they're both kind of garden variety pizza stores, that's a big mistake. If there are 4 restaurants and a vacant store and you're going to open something really unique and really different, that could work. It's about
what we refer to as our unique proposition.
Right.
And that a business
Absolutely.
has to be able to distinguish itself.
Do some businesses make mistakes when they go for the cheap and don't have like a beautiful window display? Or, is that important, putting money into the aesthetics of
All
the...
businesses make mistakes. And that's the way you have to start, knowing that the path is not smooth.
So would you recommend that they put more emphasis on like the windows and the displays? Could that make a big difference?
It's a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it comes down to really understanding what it is that's going to attract customers to my unique business. And if window display is important, if it's that kind of business, you bet. If it's not important, don't waste your money. So it's a really it depends kind of answer.
How could you tell? I guess if it's a financial analyst, a financial business, then the displays don't mean as much as,
Exactly.
say,
Right.
a
That's right.
restaurant. It could make a big difference.
Right.
A retail shop, huge difference.
And it all comes out of your competitive analysis,
Right.
understanding the business you're in, understanding who's out there competing, understanding how you're going to offer a unique proposition. And if location and if accoutrements matter, then you better invest in them. If they don't matter, don't waste your money.
When you were, I'm sorry.
Yeah, one of the ways that you find out what your competitive advantage is or not, or disadvantage, is by doing research and seeing what's out there. And a lot of the resources that you find that out from are local resources. What's in your community? Look at the local newspapers. We subscribe to the Westchester Business Journal, and as well as other business publications. There's a database that we have at the library called Reference USA, and this is one of the premier databases to
of the
find
best.
out what your competition is, to find out what people are doing all over the country.
What's the name of the place?
It's called Reference USA. And, it's an online database that people have access to. They come to the library. If they're Greenburgh Library subscribers, they can actually do it from their home, but we help them learn how to use it. And it's a tool that can tell you what companies are in what businesses. It's good for looking for jobs as well, because it'll give you information about the company, the executives, the names of the executives, so you can make contacts and you can make a plan.
Are there any other resources that people should take advantage of?
Yeah, if you're trying to study the industry itself and get a profile of, well, what's the industry looking like? Is it growing? Is it not growing? And details about it. There's another database, Business Insights, that gives you information on that. So it all comes back to, finding answers with information, and also networking is a big part
You're
of it
doing
too.
your homework.
And that's an important part of what Carol offers through the library is networking opportunities. One of the unique characteristics of most small businesses we run into is the answer to the question, can you help me, is always yes. And so meeting the right people who have been successful, who are breaking new ground, and asking, can you help me, in an intelligent, informed way really works. And the library becomes a forum for starting those conversations.
Right. I mean, the programs that we do when we have people come in and speak who are freely giving their time, generously giving their time, that promotes a sense of security within the audience to be able to start talking to each other, and that way they find out other information about what their issues are, and they find they have issues in common.
And
Excuse me.
what's very interesting is the workshops are interactive.
Right.
You have the opportunity to ask questions. It's not a lecture.
That is great. You know, I just realized that you're probably underpaid for all your knowledge.
Clearly.
Okay, Paul, well, we'll have to do something about that.
It took me such a long time to appreciate what you've done. But you know, I think it's really fantastic because this is the library is really providing an enormous service and really could help tons of people be successful. Let's say some of our listeners want to be a millionaire and they want to be really successful. What type of businesses would you recommend that they go into?
That varies largely on their expertise and background. It's like somebody came to us once that she's a wonderful baker. She wants to be the next Mrs. Fields. There's a little bit in between there.
What's the right? So what if somebody says, I love cooking, I'm going to start a pastry shop, what would you say?
Perhaps work for a pastry shop first,
Yeah.
and then see if you would really like to do this.
I'd also ask, what makes you want to start a pastry shop? Are you really good? Do you bake unique things? How do you differentiate yourself from the guy in the corner who's been there 20 years and is very successful? Those are important questions up front before someone dives into the pool and tries to swim.
And what are some of the problems that people have in pastry shops? What are some of the mistakes people could make? If I say, I like to cook.
Know your audience, where you're located, what your audience consists of, what they're looking to buy. Is it a cake I decorate for a birthday, a wedding, etc.? Is that who comes? Or is it somebody who wants gourmet pastries? That's something that comes into defining what your business is.
And then ask the question, how do I distinguish myself? How do I find the customer for what I want to be? And then build a plan to finance and support it.
Who's my target customer?
Okay.
That's so important.
Right, we only have one more break. I can't believe it. Sometimes when I have these shows, I sort of fall asleep, and this time I'm like so awake. So this is, I wish this was like a 5-hour program. But I'm Paul Feiner, and my guests are Nina Mattikow and Bob Kotch of North Salem, our partners, and Carol Angert, who's a business librarian at the Greenburgh Library, and we're talking about starting a business, and there's a really important forum on April 27th at 9 to 10:30 at Greenburgh Library, and it comes with free breakfast, and the event is is free, and this could really change your life. Because if you are out of work or you don't like the job you're doing, this is an opportunity to do something that you're going to really find fun. So stay tuned right after this.
1460 WVOX.
Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor, and we're talking about a forum that's going to be held on Wednesday, April 27th from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. at the Greenburgh Library. Carol Angert is organizing this as part of her responsibilities as business librarian at the Greenburgh Library, and do you have to register for this?
Yes, we'd like you to register. We need to have an idea of, the capacity, what to expect. And you can do that by going to the Greenburgh Library website, www.greenburghlibrary.org, and click on the calendar tab. Under that is events. And then just go to the calendar, April 27th, and there's a registration link. So if you do that, that would be great.
What are some of the less expensive types of businesses that you could start?
Let's see.
Consulting is always one. You need to bring some expertise, some experience, some credentials, but that's one that's usually pretty inexpensive to start. Financial counseling, that kind of work, financial advice, retirement counseling, which is a big issue and a big
Writers.
need.
Writers
Writers,
who will do either resume, social media, teach,
good one.
we found that. And what else?
I remember when my daughter was 2 or 3 years old, there was a restaurant in, I think, Chappaqua, and they had an indoor playground. And I was sort of thinking for, say, Central Avenue in Greenburgh, if there was a restaurant that would be a little bit more unique, that would be more child-friendly,
Right.
with places that kids could be jumping and throwing things at, that could be successful because it's a little different.
Right.
Well, look at Dave and Buster's. I mean, that's humongous.
What about, franchises? If somebody doesn't have confidence in themselves, are there advantages or disadvantages to setting up a franchise?
Do your homework. Really do your homework.
How do you get hurt with a franchise?
Well, it depends on the franchise. Many of the good franchises give training, give opportunity, but it's really up to you to look.
Yeah. The issue with the franchise is you're putting a lot of money up front, whether it's cash or whether you're committing your assets, your home, your retirement account. You're getting things in return. You're getting a territory. Look very carefully at what the territory is. Is it really exclusive, or will the franchise sell on top of your territory? You're getting equipment. You're getting supplies and product. Look and be sure that the supply chains are reasonably priced and tied to the kind of revenue that you can generate.
Are
But-
you getting training?
training. But Nina's right. Be really wary. Not that franchises are bad. They're not. But be really clear about what you're getting and what the value is. Talk to others who have opened franchises. Good franchises will give you referrals of both franchises that are wildly successful and that have failed. And understand that, and understand it deeply. It's a process. It's not a purchase.
I know that whenever I send out a press release and talk about what I'm doing with pets, everybody reads it. And if I talk about this great initiative relating to the budgets, nobody reads it. Does it make sense to start a pet store?
The pet market is humongous, and there's a lot of opportunity in there. But there's all different kinds. Are you talking about pet food? Are you talking about a puppy store? Are you talking about supplies, training? There are a lot of markets in the pet area.
Somebody who I had on my program a couple of years ago was starting a pet summer camp. And
I love that.
I love
Doggy
it.
summer camp.
Did they
love
get
it.
T-shirts?
That's right. I'll never forget it. And it was a camp, so if people basically want to go on vacation without their dogs, the dogs could go to the Poconos and.
Who would?
Oh, I want to be a dog.
I want to be a puppy.
But I guess those types of things attract people who like pets and could be more successful because when you're talking about uniqueness, that's something that people have to focus on.
When you do a new business, you need to have a passion for it.
Right.
If you don't have a passion for it, I think your chances of success are really diminished.
And I mean, we're on WVOX. How important is, so you have to say radio advertising's important, but how important is spreading the word, and how do you market yourself in this new age when people are on their iPhones and
Right.
a lot of, like if you take out an ad and say local paper, a lot of people who might have read the local paper years ago aren't
Right.
reading it now. So how do you get the word out?
A well-thought-out social media plan, a
Right.
well-thought-out marketing plan, clearly defined messages placed in the right place, those are all critical. And it's more critical now than perhaps it used to be because the world moves much faster.
And it's harder because I know even in politics and in government, it used to be if, say, the Journal News wrote a story that was critical or positive, everyone in the county would talk about it, or a lot of people. Now, if they write an article pro or con, not as many people see it, so it doesn't have the same impact. And there's so many different ways that people get their news.
Right.
That's
And there's a
hard.
bombardment of information, so you're getting it from all over the place.
And I think you have to put together a well-thought-out plan
Right.
on how to reach your audience.
And part of that is tracking what people are saying about you on social media. It's not just the messages you send out, it's how you respond to others. Someone sends a tweet that says XYZ store is unethical and I don't want to do business. You need to deal with that as a business and monitor.
Right, or if you have a business that's a pet store, you're not going to mark it on a travel brochure. A travel publication, you may want to do your social media that's focusing on people who like pets, and maybe you could get people who love pets who live, say, within a region, I would assume.
Well, that's what the research is, and how effective it is to use something like, the database that
Well, there's already a link to the one you mentioned about when people go away and leave their dogs. That would be wonderful on a travel site,
Right.
if you had a link.
Right. What about the name of like a business? I was thinking of this, before. Sometimes, you go to like a restaurant and it says La, and it sounds French. People, like my wife, will want to go there. On the other hand, if it said Paul's Delicious Restaurant, it sounds horrible. So how important is it to come up with a name that could attract people?
I think a name is very important. I really do. And depending on the type of restaurant, if you're a local, if you're a pizzeria, that's a whole different
So I could
kind
call
of
it
thing.
Paul's Best Pizzeria. That would work.
Best pizza in Westchester.
They all say
I like
the
that
rest
better.
They all do.
in New York and Westchester, yeah.
But what about, is that something that people should, really give a lot of thought, and how do you figure out what the right name is?
Well, you kind of start with what's my competitive advantage?
Yeah.
What's going to attract people to me? And then you brainstorm. Say, okay, what name will help that attraction get more real?
And then perhaps you do a focus group.
Right.
Indeed.
Right, but, I guess, say you're in Chappaqua or Bedford or Scarsdale, high-end places, you throw in a La.
I love that.
No, it's true, because it probably it makes people feel
Right.
that it's fancy.
Right.
More expensive.
Yeah. Nina, we have a new name consultant to work with now. I love it.
So
So it's the Law North Salem Partners that's here
That's
to
right,
help
we've
you.
just changed our
you say,
name.
then you could have, if you then you could go to the highest end areas. Well, you're in Greenwich. You should say La North Salem.
Let's change the name.
Well,
it's
believe
done.
it or not, there are books for all of this. Branding for dummies, networking for dummies. I mean, so people can get educated, and that's what their goal should be before they jump
But
into
it
something.
all comes back to
Right.
the homework.
Right.
Really does.
Right.
And we have to conclude the program. We have the event April 27th, 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. At the Greenburgh Library. If you want to start up your business, and the website of your company,
www.greenburghlibrary.org.
and www.northsalempartners.com. I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor.
You've been listening to the Greenburgh Report with Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner, a live presentation of Whitney Media 1460 WVOX. Tune in again next Friday morning at 10 for the Greenburgh Report, only on 1460 WVOX.
Close to home, close to you. 1460 WVOX and WV.